Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome in to Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com, Tuesday, June 3rd. So, y'all know we've been talking about all the lists, all the rankings coming out around, and there's more to talk about. There's more to get into throughout the rest of the week. We do have Thursday, OTA. Next week, I think, is mandatory minicamp, so there's going to be some of that stuff to talk about, practice stuff to talk about, but wanted to talk about Anthony Campanile a little bit. Jaguars defensive coordinator, first time being a defensive coordinator in the NFL. He has been a co-defensive coordinator, was the co-defensive coordinator for Boston College in 2018, also the defensive backs coach there. But in the NFL, he's never called a regular season game, right? Never called a game. So big time responsibility for Anthony Campanile, being the leader of the defensive side of the ball, especially when you talk about having an offensive head coach, Liam Cohen, leader of the defensive side of the ball, play caller defensive side of the ball, schemer, communicator, teacher, all these things. We don't know how it's going to work out with Anthony Campanile. Like, there's a lot of hype around him. I like him a lot based on what I've seen, like the research done before he got here, how he has been since he got here. I like him a lot. But, you know, when the Jaguars hired Ryan Nielsen, I was excited about him too. So, and a lot of people were. So, we'll see, right? We'll see how it plays out. I have a better feeling about this Jaguars team than I did last year, and I thought that last year's Jaguars team could make the playoffs. I think this year's Jaguars team and this regime has a chance to actually push it further. Because if y'all remember, and this is kind of a side tangent, every single year when Trent Baalke was the Jaguars GM, I felt like their ceiling was capped. I felt like, yes, they could be a playoff team. No, they are not going to win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying this Jaguars team is going to win a Super Bowl, but I think that the ingredients are in place for this to be a more sustainable, higher ceiling franchise now than ever before. Going back to late 90s. They reached a hell of a ceiling in the late 90s, no question about it. But last 25 years or so, yeah, I think that they're in the best position from a leadership standpoint, from a roster standpoint, to get back there. And I think part of that is Anthony Campanile. I do believe in him. It remains to be seen how it will actually play out. We're going to talk about, though, today, what the players are saying about Anthony Campanile, what the players are saying about this coaching staff. They're fired up. I'll tell you that much right now. It seems like these players love Anthony Campanile. And that shouldn't come as a major surprise. But if you go back to this time last year, I think you were hearing some positive things about Ryan Nielsen. I don't think you were hearing anything like what we're hearing about Anthony Campanile from the players. And right? The players are the guys who got to go get the job done on Sundays. So we're going to dive into that. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. All Jags, all the time. So what are we hearing? Hearing a lot of the defensive staff, Anthony Campanile leading the way, trying to get players in positions to do what they do best. And that's kind of a cliche. You hear that all the time. You heard it last year. Last year, it wasn't true. It was absolutely not true. Ryan Nielsen and company wanted the Jaguars defenders to add as much weight as possible. You know, they wanted them to be the fat cats last year. They just did, right? And while the Jaguars should be the big cats, they should be playing at a weight that feels most natural to them, playing at a weight where they've had success. Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd, Andre Sisco, who's no longer here. All these guys, you could visibly tell they were playing at a weight that just didn't seem right. And Josh Hines-Allen still had a really good year. Trayvon Walker still had a really good year. Devin Lloyd did some impressive things. Andre Sisco, very up and down. Lloyd was up and down too. But that is one thing that I think the players are talking about, the media is talking about, fans should be talking about it. This group is actually trying to get the players to do what they do best. And I think that's big. And the players think it's big. Another thing you're hearing from the players is they know what to expect from Anthony Campanile every day. And I don't want to put words in mouths, but when you are interviewing someone and you're asking them a question about like, how are things different? What is this regime like? If you're saying that you feel, and multiple players are saying this, you know what to expect from Anthony Campanile every day. And that's like new and refreshing. By default, you're probably saying you didn't necessarily know what to expect every day before. And I can tell you for sure, leadership-wise, you want somebody who's going to be the same all the time, every day. And yeah, you can have, everybody has highs and lows, right? But like, you want somebody who you feel like you know what you're getting from them, because that's going to lead you to be most comfortable. If you got a guy who's off the rails one day, quiet the next day, you have no idea what's going on all the time, that's not good. They say Anthony Campanile is the same guy every single day. And I think that's really big. They also, everybody has pretty much commented on, he's an Italian from Jersey, the feistiness, the fire that he brings. And that's one of the things everybody knew about him before he got here, partially thanks to Hard Knocks, right? That Hard Knocks video, ass kicking is a universal language. I think he's brought that mindset everywhere he's been. Former linebackers coach. That's kind of the way he thinks about things. If somebody's trying to block you, they're trying to steal your livelihood. Like, you need to run through them, right? That's got to be your attitude. And so there's a toughness and edginess that he coaches, that he brings, and you can see him out on the practice field. You can hear him out on the practice field in the individual drills and in the team portions of practice. He's fiery, and they like that. Everybody that I've heard from has liked that. And you've heard from a lot of the leaders of this defense, a lot of the guys that have been around here for a while. Josh Hines-Allen spoke with the media yesterday, talked about a lot of different things. There's a lot to get excited about here, I think. I really do. And the players are excited. And we'll continue talking about it. But first, got to remind you all about Underdog. Underdog Fantasy is one of the best places to make picks during playoff basketball. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Download the Underdog app and sign up using promo code DuvalDaily to unlock a new special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code DuvalDaily. Just download the app, then pick higher or lower on a player's stats like points, assists, and more. Once your picks feel good, you can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at playoff basketball and selecting SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You may have heard of him, for higher than 33.5 points in the finals there. Must be 18 plus, 90 plus, Alabama, Nebraska, 90 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. If you're supporting them, you're supporting us. So, getting into more of what these players are saying about their coach, defensive coach. And you're hearing the same thing on the offensive side of the ball, by the way. But the reason I wanted to focus more on Campanile is because he's less of a known quantity and commodity, because Liam Cohen has been an offensive coordinator before. No, he hasn't been a head coach. Entirely different assignment. But he's been an offensive coordinator. He's been an offensive play caller. He's had extreme success, right? And so from a schematic standpoint, what you can look for from Liam Cohen, from an X's and O's standpoint, how he can adjust, adapt to the players he has. You've seen him do these things before. We don't know as much about Anthony Campanile, the defensive coordinator. You hear a lot that he has the answers to everything the offense throws, that he's intellectual about football, that Liam Cohen will come talk to the defense. And this is a great thing about Liam Cohen. He'll come talk to the defense about how he would be attacking the defense, and I think that can be like iron sharpen iron from a play calling and coaching and mental standpoint. And even though Anthony Campanile is kind of like got this aura of being like this tough, hard-nosed guy, you consistently hear that he's very intellectual about football. And I think that would track based on his history. The fact that he's been, at different levels. He's coached high school, college, pro. At different levels, you've seen him be a linebackers coach, a defensive coordinator, college and high school. You've seen him be an offensive coordinator. You've seen him be a tight ends coach, a wide receivers coach, defensive backs coach, linebackers coach, defensive run game coordinator. Now when you have worn that many hats, you have to think about the game like kind of holistically. You haven't just been coaching defense your whole life, right? So I like that a lot about him. And Josh Allen talking about him and the coaches, he said that these are guys that he wants to put his body on the line for. They're passionate. Again, says you know what to expect from Campanile every day. He's got the passion, the love of the game. Said he respects the game. He loves the game. For Josh Allen to say things like that, I think it means a lot. You also had Dewey Wingard talking a good bit about Anthony Campanile. Said he'd love to be in a bar fight with Camp. Said he's intense. Says, I know he would do whatever it takes to kick someone's ass. And so, again, that goes to the toughness, the love, the passion. But again, then he says, he's smart. And Dewey talked about how he coached under Jeff Hafley, who's a really smart, well-respected coach. He also talked about how he coached under Vic Fangio, one of the brightest and most influential defensive minds of the last couple decades, Vic Fangio. He also coached under Brian Flores. So that's some unbelievable, and many, many more influences going back further, but those are some of the most recent NFL influence he's had that he's coached under. And to me, I don't think you could ask for a better group of guys to be influenced by over the last 5 years or so. Dewey also said that Campanile does a great job mixing the X's and O's, the board work, schematics, with the intense violent culture. And he said it's cool to see him be able to meld those two things. I think so too. And he said that the Jaguars players are working their minds under this coaching staff more than they ever have. So those are all really good things to hear. Dewey's fired up. Josh Allen's fired up. And when you have the leaders of your group fired up about the coaching, that can go a long way. And Dewey was talking about it. This is a group that feels like they can get back to what they were when they were winning football games, when they were creating turnovers. A lot of the same guys are still here. A lot of the same ingredients are still here. And now it just needs to be fine-tuned in a different way with different energy and passion and X's and O's and schematics. And Mason Smith, going into his second year, he said, and we talked about this a little bit before, but he said when it comes to Anthony Campanile and this scheme, it's more attacking, moving forward. You're not just trying to hold the point. He said, you go take your shot, but if you miss, it's on you, right? So guys are going to have the freedom a little bit to try to go make plays. And I think players like Mason Smith, Eric Armstead, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker really have the physical ability to do that. Mason Smith is still working on becoming like more of an experienced veteran, right? Young guy going into his second year, didn't get a lot of playing time until late in the season. But I think the rest of that group, you can feel really good about that scenario. And then you also get Emmanuel Ogbah coming in. And the reason he is here is Anthony Campanile. And we knew they had the connection of being in Miami together, but like Ogbah talked about it. Like that's why he's here. That is why he's here. And again, from what we know about Campanile and what Liam Cohen has kind of said about the defense, they want to be a zone defense with vision in the backfield. That's going to be like their base ideal principle is a vision zone defense. I think that works great for Tyson Campbell, Travis Hunter, Jordan Lewis. I think you look at the fact that that's going to be what they do. That's their bread and butter, but then they're going to be a team that wants to be game plan oriented, wants to have a lot of different looks on third down. That's the type of stuff you're going to see a lot from them. And I think that's going to be good. But the final thing that Dewey said and that Anthony Campanile kind of harps on these guys is talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. So, we've done all this talking for the last 15 minutes or so, talking about all the positives and the energy and the excitement, the even-keeledness, but the passion he brings, and the different stylistic changes and all that. But talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. People were excited about Ryan Nielsen at this time last year on the outside. I think a few weeks in, players started to turn a little bit on kind of how they were feeling about last year. But yeah, talk is cheap. So they're going to have to go get it done next couple weeks and then getting into training camp. And Anthony Campanile is going to have just a huge responsibility here in Jacksonville. I think he's up for the task, but we're going to see how it ends up playing out. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.